In this demo, we'll show you how to connect your AlloyDB instance to PuppyGraph so that you can query your SQL-based data as a graph without a graph database or ETL. As you can see, I currently have an AlloyDB cluster and instance called PuppyGraph test created on Google Cloud. Let's quickly log into our AlloyDB instance and take a look at what tables and data are currently residing within it. Listing out the tables, we can see that I'm looking at a financial data set that revolves around accounts, investments, and the people and companies that own them. By doing a select count on the account table, we can see that I have 637 accounts within the data set. Now, let's pull the data for some of those accounts and limit it to the top 10 in the results set. We can see here the details for this particular table, including some demo data. Now, what if we wanted to simplify complex queries by using a graph query language against this data instead? That is where PuppyGraph comes in. First, we'll log into PuppyGraph. Then, we'll upload our schema in JSON format, which will map the SQL data into corresponding nodes and edges. Then, we'll upload the schema to the server. Alternatively, you can also use the intuitive Create Graph Schema UI to assist you there as well. Once processed, we can see a visualization of the schema as well as a JSON representation of it for further inspection. This will show you the catalogs where the data resides and which data has been mapped into the graph schema. By clicking on Dashboards, you can see that we have some saved queries and their displayed result sets. Data here can be displayed as a text, a table, or as a graph visualization. This is a great place to save useful queries that you may want to revisit later. The data here is also available in real time. Now if we click on Query, we can then run ad hoc graph queries in both Gremlin and Cypher right on the PuppyGraph platform. Depending on how the data is returned, the UI will either display it as text or as a graph visualization that you can explore further. Flipping between Cypher and Gremlin query languages is as simple as toggling the selector at the top of the window. As an example, this Gremlin query calculates the total count, sum of amounts, and the maximum single amount for both incoming and outgoing account transfers related to a specific account that occurred between January 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2023. When a result is returned as a graph visualization, you can hover over and click on the interactive interface and change the layout of the visualization. For example, we can change this visualization from a radial layout to a vertical one for easier navigation of this data set. Now, let's flip back to Gremlin and run a query that shows people who own an account and return paths that start from them and follow exactly 5 transfers between accounts. Lastly, we can query this data using a graph notebook as well. Once loaded, we can run queries within the notebook against PuppyGraph, allowing us to query SQL data as a graph without using any graph database. For more information on how you can use PuppyGraph to deliver graph capabilities on top of your AlloyDB instance with no ETL and no graph database required, visit www.puppygraph.com.